At Zakynthos town, I waited for my new crew to arrive. My friends David and Diane were joining me, and we quickly decided to do a cruise around the southern Ionian. Over the next couple of weeks, we visited quite a few places, so this is a quick summary of where we went. Our first stop was at Kerry, where I took them for the trip round the island. And then around to the blue seas and white cliffs again. We left our anchorage after we'd had some lunch, and we sailed up the west coast of Zakynthos until we came to Port of Vrexi. Port of Vrexi is a small anchorage, the only one on the west side of Zakynthos. It's used in the summer by fishing boats, yachts and tripper boats taking people up the coast to Navigeo Bay. There's no tavernas here, so it was a quiet night on board and cook ourselves a meal. Next morning it was a short hop up the coast to visit Navigeo Bay. Navigeo Bay, or Shipwreck Bay, is one of the most iconic images of Greece, with a wrecked coaster on the beach and high white cliffs all around. It was fairly early when we got there, so the sun hadn't quite got onto the bay, and there was a bit of a swell coming in from the open sea, making it quite uncomfortable, so we took our pictures and left. We headed for the island of Kefalonia and Argostoli. This is the capital of Kefalonia and is quite a cosmopolitan town. There's plenty of room for boats, both at anchor and on the quay. We stayed here for the night and refuelled both ourselves and the boat. The following day, and suitably refreshed, we sailed up the west side of Kefalonia to the beautiful village of Assos. This stunning place is situated underneath a Venetian fort on a peninsula. It only has a small quay, so we ended up anchored with lines ashore. After spending the night at Assos, we sailed around the north of Kefalonia to Fiscardo, where David and Diane went ashore for lunch in the dinghy. When they got back, we set off fairly quickly and sailed, first having a look into Fricus. Finding it too full, we then went to Chione, which was also very full, so we ended up anchored with a line ashore. Chione is a very popular place, being an easy reach of the charter and flotilla bases, but I've never seen it this full before. In the end, we were quite happy to be anchored out in a peaceful spot. After spending the night here, we headed for Otoko. This uninhabited island is a popular place for yachts to stop for lunch, and a fabulous place to go for a swim. David, and Diane especially, absolutely loved swimming in the warm, clear water. Next, it was up to Civita on the south of Lefkas Island. Civita is used as a base by the flotilla companies, but as it was midweek, we thought it would be fairly empty. How wrong we were. A forecast of thunderstorms had brought them all scuttling in, so no space on the quay, and we ended up anchoring in the middle. We did have some rain overnight, but no thunder or lightning to speak of. Next morning, although the flotillas were still being kept in, we headed out to Kalamos Island. We anchored at Port Leone, and it's there that we met Benedict, an Austrian man on holiday with his family. He was interested in what we were doing and asked me to send some pictures to him. This is the video that I put together for him. The next morning we left Port Leone and headed southwest past Otoko Island to Ithaca and the town of Vathi. This is the largest town and the main port for the island. It's a large natural harbour with a significantly sized quay. We ended up moored here amongst some super yachts, including this newly restored 1930s motor yacht. Next, it was back to Kefalonia Island and to the port of Euphemia. There's quite a big quay at Euphemia, but we still struggle to find a space despite getting in fairly early. However, there is a harbour master who directs you in and helps with mooring and then charges you a fee of €10. Euphemia is a very pretty place and is a hot spot for land-based tourists holidaying on Kefalonia. There is a short, pebbly beach which is great for taking a dip. It's a base for tripper boat cruises, diving and other activities. And there are plenty of tavernas around the harbour to choose from. Next morning we left Euphemia and had a 14-mile sail down the east coast of Kefalonia to the ferry port of Horos. We had a little difficulty mooring here due to a strong wind blowing straight along the quay. However, with the help of someone ashore, we managed to get in safely. By evening it had calmed down, so we were able to get some nice pictures. After leaving Horos, we sailed around the south of Kefalonia, avoiding the reefs of Akrascala and back to Argostoli. This completed a full circumnavigation of Kefalonia. We moored stern to on the quay again and give ourselves plenty of time for exploring, getting some provisions in, turtle spotting, and most importantly, finding somewhere to eat for the evening. We had a fabulous evening exploring Argostoli, but then it was time to set off back towards Zakynthos. We took the crossing over and our first port was on the north of Zakynthos, and it was Agios Nikolaios. We had a good passage over, but after lunch the heavens opened and a horrible swell started coming in from the open sea. We were forced to leave the quay and shelter for the night behind the island. After an uncomfortable night at anchor, we set off at first light for our final passage, the 15 miles back to Zakynthos town. Once Serenity was safely tied up in the harbour, we spent our time packing and cleaning the boat, ready for the handover to Richard and our flight home the following day.